Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
Hello, everyone. This is Maria Gillen. I'm very glad to welcome you here to the Poetry Center on Zoom today. And to say that I'm very pleased that Jennifer Poteet is going to be reading for us. Before she reads, I do want to do a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Susan Balick for giving up today to do the technical part of this with the Zoom, and to thank Smita, who usually does that technical part, who couldn't do it today. And I want to thank the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, Passaic County Community College, and individual donors for making our poetry series possible. I'm going to introduce Jennifer, and then she'll read. Jennifer Poteet lives in Montclair, New Jersey, and works for public radio. She is the author of 2 chapbooks, Sleepwalking Home, Dancing Girl Press, 2017, and Emily Dickinson's Selfie, Bottle Cap Press, 2023. She's a Pushcart Prize and Nina Riggs Award nominee. Her full-length collection, What Comes Back, was a finalist for the inaugural Laura Boss Narrative Poetry Award. Jennifer's poems have appeared in the Cortland Review, Paterson Literary Review, Swim, the Night Heron Books, and elsewhere. And her webpage is www.jenniferpoteet.com. So you can look at more information about her. Meanwhile, I think that I was really pleased that she was one of the finalists for Laura Boss Narrative Poetry Award, and I loved hearing her work. And I hope you will too. Let's welcome Jennifer Poteet.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's an honor to be here, and thank you, Susan, for doing all the technical stuff. So I appreciate you both. What I thought I would do is read a few poems from my first chapbook, Sleepwalking Home, which are basically little portraits of different people that are maybe sleepwalking through life, and also share a few poems from Emily Dickinson's Selfie, which are anachronistic poems poets brought to current day situations. And then, if time permits, a few new poems that are either in my full-length collection that's trying to find a home right now among different publishers, and some very new work that I haven't even sent out yet. So without further ado, I'm going to start with Sleepwalking Home. And the first poem is called Gas, Food, Lodging. 1. That main artery, hyphenated white, drives them through all states. Crude oil coffee can be fuel. The promise of cruller sugar awaits at every road stop. There are tolls, reasons to seek change, no doze miles, exhaust, late night radio, the drone, the drop-off zone, the weight of the load causes wind drag on the body. Open the window. 2. A driver does 90 on the highway. He recalls another life on a different map, a wife who begged to bear his children. An existence complete with exits can allure a man. His foot on the gas, hands at 10 and 3, a has-been husband passes the cherry tree near the familiar overpass. Sometimes at daybreak, catchy jingles make sense. Billboards talk truth, and the idea of a woman waiting up with a child crying for his daddy makes him almost take a U-turn. And let's see here. Sexy Texas. When our blue Pontiac left Poteet, the road stretched ahead, an unread book. Not that we were thinking of books as the radio blared songs best meant for belly-up cowboys and sticky-floored honky-tonks. We're an old married couple from the East, easy in our boots, just passing through. We shot straight down into Harlingen. The Texas map spread across my lap. I traced the landscape with 2 fingers. More flat road. We stopped in Presidio for drinks, absorbed the dry heat like 2 tombstones. And from Texas to Long Island. This poem is called Long Island. Say the train you're on is the wrong one, and all the stations look the same after dusk anyway. You go home with a woman who looks like your wife in a car that smells of new Naugahyde and stalls in a familiar way at the curb. She puts her key in the lock of a door, much like every other door on the block. Yells, "You're not listening to me." And you've heard this before. You eat a dinner, microwaved, lukewarm, and then collapse into bed where she gives you her back and a sigh. These are the rhythms and patterns you know, and you give her back what you know, your back and a sigh. And just one more from this collection. Miss Young, and that's spelled Y-U-N-G. Miss Young gets her hair done at the beauty parlor in town, gossips in an unsure English. Ladies don't know what to make of her poker straight hair, want to try to tease it into a trendy style. Miss Young knows the brands. This Armani, she boasts, fingers her jacket lapel, lets the cashier girl feel it. Got good price, she adds, and pays for a perm with a pressed 100. Do nail? Later, she will scratch them across her handsome blonde banker's back. Don't call me Miss Young, she tells the new manicurist, while her fingers bob in warm pink bubbles. Sally, she says, repeats, Sally. She leaves her Chinese name on the table along with a $20 tip. And so all of these poems in Emily Dickinson's Selfie are, as I mentioned, bringing poets of the past back. And people have liked this so much, I might do Emily Dickinson's Selfie too, because I enjoyed writing them so much. So let's see, we'll start with William Carlos Williams gets a COVID-19 test. I wait with the others, although I could administer the test myself. I'm a doctor, after all. I used to go from house to house, sometimes seeing 60 people in a day. Now my car is third in line when a masked nurse leans in to take my temperature. inserts a swab deep into my nostril. God, I hate that as much as my headaches, but so much depends on a good diagnosis. I'll go home, take a sandwich from the icebox, caress Flossie's delicate ankles. I'm astonished by the trees in Rutherford today. They drop yellow leaves along Park Avenue like pieces of gold. Let's see, feeding geese at Race Point. I sit next to Mary Oliver on a large rock that faces the water, and I'm amazed she allows it. We wear identical Red Sox caps, and both of us remove fingerless gloves to unwrap our breakfast sandwiches. I tear off pieces of bread, tossing them near 6 geese who stand in wild-haired beach grass. They'd prefer corn or seeds and will eat from your hand, Mary admonishes. Then she's silent, and we watch the gaggle turn, their snow-feathered backs shunning us. Winter, just a few feet from the ocean's lip. Bird animals and human animals perched on the margin of it all. Sunlight unfurls over the surf, and I think out loud, do geese wish they were born swans? And Mary answers, my dear, a goose wants little more than to wake up every morning and still be a goose. On a winter Sunday, I see Robert Hayden in Shop and Save. He sports a candy striped shirt, sharp bow tie, unmistakable thick lensed glasses. In his cart is a jug of Tide, a box of saltines. Excuse me, young lady, Mr. Hayden says, perhaps thinking I work in the store. Where can I find the soup? I don't point, but walk the short distance over to the soup aisle with him. He picks up 2 cans of Campbell's tomato, nods his thanks, gets behind me in line to pay. I come up short, and as I ask the cashier if I can put some items back, he slips me a $50 bill and disappears before I can thank him. And maybe I'll just read the title poem from this collection, which is Emily Dickinson's Selfie. I take a secret picture after pressing the last summer flowers. In a long white dress and Birkenstocks, I dance in grass for several hours. Wild days! And now I'm busy baking bread, but go out again to pick some greens. I am happiest in the garden. I fill a basket with string beans, then rush to pull 2 fresh loaves from the galley. Love's oven, warm like immortality. Not far from here lies Amherst's burial yard. I write poems in pencil on recipe cards. So let me just do this. I'm going to read now a few poems from my collection, What Comes Back, which is about my mother, our relationship, her death, and my life after. And it's not written in sequential order. So I'll start with My Mother Ironed. Both hands slid the Proctor Silex, with a devotion some people have when they whittle wood or knit. The perfume of heavy starch, a hiss of steam on wet linen, shirts swung on satin hangers in a neat row beneath the padded board. Even bed sheets flattened, obedient to her press. Tablecloths were her specialty, and my mother could iron all day, especially if WQXR played Baroque. Now that she's gone, I walk wrinkled out into the world. And then this is a new poem that it was just published in all places in JAMA, the medical journal, and I added it to the collection. And it was inspired by a piece of art that was part of a juried exhibition that Marcia LeBeau invited me to. And so it was a real gift. It's called the Open MRI. I keep my mother's dentures warm in their plastic case on my lap. Lips pursed, arms raised above her head, she lies on a sliding table near the donut of an apparatus that looks like a spaceship. As she starts to slip inside, I hear David Bowie's voice. This is ground control to Major Tom. What a brave astronaut my mother is, fitted into a coil helmet, going it alone. She waves off my hand to hold, refuses earbuds the technician offers. The contraption begins its magnetic music, an opus of hammers, a staccato hum. I'd give anything if we were anywhere else. Strange, the way I now drift over her, the technician, the machine, high enough to almost touch the floodlights which somebody has thought to dim. And here's another short mother poem. Mother comes back as a bee. When I heard my name as a buzz in my ear, I knew she had come back as a bee. One I hoped without its stinger. My mother floated among my garden tomatoes, then rested inside an eggplant blossom. Why a bee? I asked. I didn't get to choose, she said. Can you make honey? I'm not that kind of bee. Why not come inside, Mom, where there's air conditioning to talk? I just wanted to take a look at you, she replied, circling me twice before she flew away. And now these are some kind of newish poems that I'm not sure where I'm going with them, but I do want to share them with you. Carnival. Glenn and I kept kissing, our mouths blue and sticky from snow cones that August before he went off to Pitt. Holding hands, we made our way toward the Carney Barkers, past skee-ball lanes and the arcade full of blinking pinball machines. The air was buttered with popcorn smoke. We held hands tighter as the two of us approached the barrel of the Devil's Hole and stepped in sideways, avoiding the wads of chewing gum jeweled to the wood floor. The ride began to spin faster and faster until we were pinioned against a wall. Then the floor dropped. All that held our bodies up was centrifugal force. By September, Glenn was gone and my feet found their way to the ground. I live on William Street in Montclair, and so that is what this poem is about, called On William Street. Devon knows each of us by name, the old timers, their children, even newbie single renters like me. He shovels everyone's front steps in winter, fixes fences, and paints doors. If I'm not fast enough on garbage night, he hauls my cans out to the curb. There's no time to be idle, he says. During the week, he's a maintenance man over at the academy. He stands like an oak tree in my yard, adjusting an awning so the birds don't get in. His bald head glistens. Every Sunday morning, he's outside in denim overalls, edging a weed whacker along our sidewalk. Devon greets anyone that's up with a baritone shout. Now the whole street's awake. Still a little time. This is a poem also addressed to my mom, and it's called Wish You Were Here. So much has happened you won't believe. Donald Trump was president. David Bowie died from liver cancer. Prince overdosed on opioids. Anthony Bourdain hung himself. But not everything I want to tell you is sad. Greta Thunberg from Sweden is our teenage heroine against climate change. Ruth Bader Ginsburg rockets on. Birds continue to fly. Frogs still sing their muddy songs this late October afternoon. The sky turns orange, then purple before going dark. My front yard is festooned with acorn dust, apples, a gap-toothed pumpkin. Wood smoke from a neighbor's fireplace sweeps through the kitchen, then disappears upstairs like a ghost. This is about my mother's caregiver, and it's called Agnes. Agnes had a back like an ox and muscular arms and legs. She was able to lift my mother's body, dead weight, into the tub's special chair with ease, methodically scrub her with a soapy washcloth, dry her with a thick towel, like she was caring for her own mother. She powdered and dressed my mother on the mattress. They went for long walks, my mother's bald head covered with a wool cloche hat in August, Agnes at the helm pushing the wheelchair. They were gone all afternoon. On Sundays, Agnes baked a cake and roasted chicken. It was my job to fill the pillbox with a week's worth of odd-shaped medications. Sometimes I would try to get my mother to talk, but mostly she would sleep. Agnes slept on a cot in the living room where she had moved all of the furniture against the walls to prevent accidents. And all I could think to do when she wasn't needed anymore was to give her some of my mother's shoes. And I think two more poems. The Judaism I Knew. My mother not only read but spoke Hebrew after years of study. I wanted to sound like her. The language, while beautiful, eluded me. I didn't have her determination, and my stint at Sunday school was short. She plucked me out because the teacher wasn't serious enough, and perhaps I wasn't. On the anniversaries of her mother and father's deaths, she would plug in an electric Uretsite candle and at sundown begin her mysterious prayers. I knew the phonetics of a few blessings, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hooray, Hari Hagafen, usually said over Sabbath wine. But our family did not observe the Sabbath. My Pentecostal father converted to Judaism when he married my mother, but then returned to his televangelists. My mother often found herself alone on Yom Kippur, walking through an empty Bloomingdale's. And I have, I think, the last poem here. What Remains. In a blur of guilt and grief, I sold my mother's squash blossom necklaces, turquoise rings, and brooches. One woman bought everything. Her husband went out a second time to the ATM as I buffed a silver belt buckle, added it to the glittering pile on the coffee table. That couple was kind and fair. Just days after my mother died, the husband counted out a crisp stack of 20s into my palm before I even summoned up a price. They knew my mother from the thrift shop, but I'll be damned if I could tell you their names. Those pieces would have languished in a drawer, unworn, unseen, dark with tarnish. What remains now is enough. Sheets worn soft, a clay mezuzah, her cast iron skillet in which I fix my morning eggs. Thank you all very much.
That was wonderful, Jennifer. I think everyone really enjoyed it, and your poems are refreshingly clear and direct and honest, and they're wonderful because of that. I really, really like them so much, and I'm sure you'll get a publisher for the book.
Thank you. Oh, thank you all so much. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Yeah, honest. I think that what strikes me, touches my heart the most. Thank you.
Thank you.
They tend to be a little short, my poems.
But they're wonderful, actually. I mean, I have lots of long poems, and I like that you can get a lot into a short poem. And what I feel is you're speaking directly from your heart. You look around you and you're giving us pictures of people. I love the humor of Emily Dickinson and William Carlos Williams. They're just beautiful, and they're lyrical and they're beautiful. And I love all the poems about your mother. I think they're really wonderful and quite a tribute to her and to you as well. Anyway, you should be very happy. I really love the reading, and I thank you for being with us. I'm sure everybody would like to give you another round of applause, even if they just have to hold up their hands to do it. And thank you for being with us, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be with you, and thank you for asking me. Thanks again, Susan, for doing all the technical things, and Maria, a great honor.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. You were wonderful.
My pleasure.
If you were here, I would hug you, but you're not here. So
virtual hug.
And Susan, thank you very much for helping and for doing all the technical stuff that's totally beyond me, I'm afraid. I can do a lot of things, but technology eludes me. So I really appreciate you, Susan's help and Smita's help for all the time she's done this with me. And thank you very much, Jennifer. That was beautiful. And I think we can end now.